So you'll notice that in this worksheet, right at the very, very top, we've got your president's salary. That is the calculation of all the expenses that you entered on the previous sheet in your personal expenses. You can't edit that on this sheet. The only way you can edit the president's salary is to go back to your personal expenses and adjust your budget, right? Because if your actual personal expenses are $50,000, and you make your president's salary $25,000 to make your numbers look better on the business side, you're gonna have a problem, right? You can't just not eat. You can't just not pay your bills. So if you want to change your president's salary, the only way to do that, either by increasing it or decreasing it, is to go back and change your personal budget. Change your personal expenses, okay? So that's the first thing. Now, your first expense as a business is your president's salary. Now we need to list all of your fixed business expenses. So these are expenses, the way to think of this is these are expenses that you have to pay regardless of revenue. So whether you sell one thing or 100 things, you still have to pay these expenses. Usually that's things like rent, utilities, staff that are on salaries, marketing fees, subscription fees, bank fees, right? These are loan repayments. These are payments that, again, whether you make $1 or $1 million this month, you have to pay these bills. So your job is to make, again, a really realistic view of what your ideal business expenses would be in order to run your business well. You're gonna see that this is calculating for you your total fixed business expenses, which is your total break-even budget, the total amount of money that we absolutely have to make in order for you to cover your business expenses, pay yourself a salary so that you can cover your personal expenses. You'll also see that you can add a buffer amount, right? So maybe you want to add a 5% buffer or a 10% buffer in case you forgot something or in case there's an emergency that comes up. So you want to add that in as a business owner. You also want to think about profit. So in addition to your fixed expenses, how much profit do you want to make? Like, let's start to plan not just to survive, but let's really plan for profit. So in addition to the salary you pay yourself, do you have a small profit goal? Do you have a big profit goal? But how much profit do you want to make? And then, of course, what are the taxes going to be against that profit? So all of that calculation happens on this sheet. And again, the challenge is be reasonable, be honest, tell the truth. What are your realistic business expenses that you both want and need? And tell the full truth, right? Don't not add an expense because you think it's going to make the number too high. That doesn't serve you because then we're making numbers and projections that are not based in truth. Let's get the full truth on the table and then we will deal with it. I promise. I just want to say one thing in this moment because I think it's really important. Often, the majority of the time, in fact, when someone actually enters their real personal expenses, it turns into a salary, then there's the real business expenses. It is big. The number is oftentimes bigger than what your revenue looks like. That is the truth for the majority of small businesses. So if that's what you're worried about, you think, oh my gosh, these numbers are going to be bigger than I can handle, you're in good company. Do it anyways. The truth will set us free. Let's get to the truth of the break-even number, and then we'll go from there.